Hello and welcome to another video on the Moopa Troopa channel. I am Max Rappaport, and today doing a little bit more modern testing for the Super Qualifier tomorrow. This one right here, the Modern Super Qualifier. So I want to figure out what the best deck for me to play is, and Rhinos is one that I am familiar with and one that I've been looking at. You get a lot of good stuff. Of course, the main plan of the deck is to Cascade with Shardless Agent and Ardent Plea into your only card that costs less than 2 mana, or 2 or less mana, which is Crashing Footfalls, which makes 2 4/4s. You have a pretty nice mana base, which playing it so far haven't run into any problems. Sometimes you do have to shock, take a couple extra damage, but you can make up for that with Flage, or just killing quickly. Then you have 8 free spells, which you pretty much always, with the Lorien Revealed, extra Cascade spells, you pretty much always have pitch cards to pitch to forces and subtleties. So tapping out for Rhinos isn't as big of a problem when you have interaction for creatures, planeswalkers, and any non-creature spell that may come your way. 2 Flage, it's not as good in this deck. You don't get Arena of Glory, but Flage's still an incredible card, alternate win condition, and life gain, which is important for the deck to have. Your cheaper spells, technically cheaper. I'm running 2 Dead Gone in this list. The list I copied it from, which won a challenge, was running 1, but I think it's pretty good against Yawgmoth to Bolt the Bird, as well as the energy decks, which are very prevalent still, despite the bans. Fire Ice, or it's just good in every matchup. And you can 2-for-1 energy, you can slow people down with ice, you can cycle to try and find what you need. I will take any excuse to run a Tashana's Tidebinder in my deck. I have cut the Bone Crusher Giant for 1 Brain Surge as kind of a way to just get ahead on cards, as well as put maybe a Footfalls back on top of your deck and then cascade into it, which I'm excited to try out. And then 4 Leyline Binding as just an incredible removal spell. You're already 4 color, so just the 1 Xander's Lounge plus a green-white land is the way you're going to get Domain on turn 2, and it's pretty easy. All your fetches find both of these lands, as well as the Temple Garden, so not too hard, and definitely worth it for Leyline Binding. It's an incredible card. Best removal if your deck can support it. In the sideboard, I have 2 Force of Vigor right now, 3 Brotherhood's End, 2 Mystical Dispute, 4 Endurance, and 4 Obsidian Charma. So Eldrazi, it's pretty clear where everything is for. Brotherhood's End comes in against artifact decks as well as little creature decks. So multiple modes, pretty versatile sideboard card. And then you have Endurance for graveyard decks, as well as sometimes you just want a 3-mana 3/4 flash. In really grindy matchups, you can board in a couple just to shuffle your Footfalls back in, and then 2 Mystical Dispute for decks that play counter spells. Anything with blue in it, you're boarding in the Mystical Disputes, because they will certainly be boarding in Consign to Memory, as it stops Cascade from happening, and you don't want that to happen, so you board in your own 1-mana counter spells to counter their 1-mana counter spells. Also good against Frog, and things of that sort. But yeah, that's the list, and gonna run through a league with it, see how well we can do, see if there's anything I want to change, and probably run this in the qualifier tomorrow, but we'll see. I will, of course, be recording that as well, so hopefully a really good result, and just some more practice in Modern, but see you in the matches. On the draw for match number 1, with a okay hand. Kind of a lot of lands, but that's not the worst in this deck. Do have something to pitch to the subtlety, and I do have a Leyline Binding, so I think I'm going to keep, as well as Surveilling on turn 1, then I can get the Xander's Lounge on turn 2 for full domain. So let's keep it, and hopefully not get run over too fast. I guess I don't want to F6 through my turn in case there is something like this, a Delighted Halfling. Do I want to spend 2 of the spells in my hand to slow them down by 1 turn? I don't think so. I think I will attempt to catch up later and counter something more expensive with that. There's a Shardless Agent, which is wonderful. Ardent Plea, I think, stays on top. Just more Rhinos. And we'll see what they do on turn 2. Urza's Saga. Okay, so this is just the version of this deck with no Yawgmoth. So Yogless Yogg, which honestly I'm not as scared of as Yogg with Yogg in it. But they could do some scary stuff. They do have an Agatha's Soul Cauldron in hand, which is a pretty good one. I do have an answer to it as of now. Shadow Spear, I really don't care at all about. Okay, so there's the Ardent Plea we kept on top. Let's go for a Misty Rainforest. So now I will have access to this Leyline Binding. And we'll see what opponent does on this next turn. They can start making semi-big guys, but my guys will be bigger. Second Urza's Saga, sure. We'll see if they run out a Grist or maybe some other big threat. I'm not sure if they run Shieldred. I would doubt it. I think they're a Green Suns deck. So I think Grist is the main top end they run. Let's see what they do, though. Okay, no attacks. So I'm just going to fetch for that Xander's Lounge. Don't think there's anything I need to exile now. So I won't do that, and I'll just run out some Rhinos. Cast Crashing Footfalls. Make 2 4/4s. Make a 2/2. So 10 power, 3 mana. Pretty good, and I'll pass. Opponent likely to make a Saga token end of turn, which will be a 2/2 into a 3/3 when they untap with it. Still have an Urza Saga in hand, or Agatha's Soul Cauldron in hand, excuse me. I have a couple ways to answer a Grist if that should come down. Not super worried now. Next turn I can Ardent Plea and hold up a Leyline Binding. And we'll see what they fetch. Maybe a Haywire Might would be kind of annoying for the Leyline Binding. But I suppose we shall see. Looks like they are activating it now. They are going to be able to make a lot of Construct tokens. So looking like a bit of a board stall. We'll see what they are able to find here with this first Saga, though. It is a Haywire Might. And now they're going to be able to make another one. So they're going to have 3 5/5s. I can shrink them by 1 with a Leyline Binding. Looks like we might just be stalled out, but I do have these subtleties to stop my opponent from resolving anything good, as well as fly over them, should I be able to hardcast them. There's a Crashing Footfalls, probably the worst draw I could have had. Go ahead and play an Ardent Plea. And cast a Crashing Footfalls. And so I can attack with 1 Rhino. If they make another token, so it'll get exalted, it'll be up to a 5/5. They make another token, they have 5 artifacts. I Leyline Binding one of them, which puts them down to 4 artifacts. Even if they Haywire Might the binding, they'll still lose 1, and my Rhino will be 1 bigger. I guess they can double block, but I'm willing to trade a Rhino for a Construct. Because the less constructs they have, the more they get shrunk. So let's swing with 1 Rhino. They just take the 5. I suppose I'm okay with that, too. Now they're going to go ahead and make more constructs. And when they go to crack this fetch, I will binding one of the constructs, I think. they can't Haywire Might in response, and even if they do it after, it will just... it's already gone. It's a token, so it won't come back. They don't get anything from this Haywire Might, and I really don't have a ton of other artifacts or enchantments that matter. If they want to Haywire Might an Ardent Plea, I am A-okay with that. But let's see what they do. Brain Surge would be great here. Would have liked a Tidebinder at some point. They're going to make one more construct, so up to 5 5s, and they're going to be 6 6s. Plus, we'll see what they find off their sagas. Another Haywire Might, sure. And another saga. Okay. Another saga is pretty scary for me. Especially with this Shadow Spear. Looks like they're going to equip. Sure. And are they attacking? I would take an attack here. Okay. They are attacking just to get some damage in, but this is trading one construct for one Rhino, which also shrinks all their constructs. So I don't think that's the best play. They have 1 mana remaining, so nothing they can really do with that. And I'm able to get in with 1 Rhino if I want, but I don't think that's going to be worth it. I find another Crashing Footfalls, which is, again, the worst draw in my deck. So let's just pass, go for the board stall, slow him down with subtleties, maybe get this Lorien Revealed going at some point. Looking for a Flage, some more removal for these Haywire Mites. Things of that nature. Shifting Woodland currently copies nothing. They also don't have Delirium. We'll see what they play. I have a couple turns of answers to a Grist, but not really a consistent one. Okay, they're equipping. Sure. Gosh, having these Footfalls in my hand is so bad because it's just 4 already gone from my deck, which means I just have no way of... Okay, wow. So this is real bad if they have a Fatal Push or a Rhino. I could just take 5. But if they don't have Fatal Push, which it kind of looks like they haven't had so far, I can trade for both of these for 2 Rhinos. But I think it's just going to be better for me to play around it and just go ahead and triple block this one again. Oh, I guess they could have also made a Saga token in response. So yeah, this is the right play here. 3 Sagas, huh? At least I can't draw any more Crashing Footfalls. I'm out of them in my deck. I think it's right to play a Subtlety. Just gotta use my mana for something, because they are using it for so many things. So, see what's on the top of the deck. Leyline Binding ain't bad. It's basically just trading with one of these Haywire Mites. I think I need to start getting these suspended. So let's do that. And just pass. Do I want to attack for 3 in the air? I don't think I do yet. They make a construct. That's fine. Make another construct. And see what else they can tutor for here. A Nile Spellbomb. Okay, that one's not really doing anything. These Haywire Mites are a little bit annoying. I would really like to find a Flage. My Cascade spells don't do anything at this point. I guess let's Binding now. Target this one. If they let it resolve... Oh, they're letting it resolve. Not cracking a Haywire Might, which I am fine with. I can now triple this construct again, and they have no way of making an artifact at instant speed. So even if they push, I get to keep either a Rhino or a Subtlety. So let's do that. They just trade it for a Rhino. Again, I don't think this is the move for them. Because the more constructs they have, like if they had just kept building up that board, I don't think there's anything I could have done. Okay, so I could play another Footfalls, or suspend another Footfalls, and hold up a Subtlety, or I could draw 3 cards. Let's just see, what am I drawing to? I could draw... I have Tidebinder, I have Flage, I have Dead Gons, which are actually pretty good right now. Fire Ice would be incredible as well. Okay, yeah. I think I just want to dig, because I'm not out of useful... Oh, I do have to play a land first. So let's dig, and if I need, I can Subtlety a Grist. Next turn, I find Flage and Force of Negation. So some solid cards here. They do have that Nile Spellbomb, but I mean, once I get those constructs shrunk down a little bit, then my Rhinos, then I can start to dominate the battlefield, because they're not too big. I mean, it's a 5/5, but that's not incredibly large. Plus, I have this 1 Footfalls coming off Suspend in 3 turns, so I really just need to survive till then as well. Opponent is playing a Grist. Soul Cauldron. There's currently 0 creatures in the graveyard. But I think eventually we'll get to a point where we need that gone. It's also another artifact. So let's just force it now and see what they do. Don't think I block this turn. Don't want to get blown out by a Fatal Push. Plus I am gaining some life next turn. They don't even attack. So that's good for me. Are they cracking a Nile Spellbomb? No, they're not. So suspend down to 2. I find a forest. Unfortunately, can't go Flage and escape next turn, just due to the nature of drawing a forest and an island. So, is it better to save the Flage for when I can do that? Or trade it for this Nile Spellbomb and a Haywire Might? And then get this other Crashing Footfalls down? I mean, if I draw any land at this point, I can do it next turn. So let's just play that tapped and play suspend another Crashing Footfalls and pass the turn. I don't feel like I'm going to die next turn. Gotta worry a little bit about the clock at this point. Pretty grindy game, and it is still game 1. Kind of scared of a Grist now. This looks like Green Suns for Grist, which is equally as scary, although it is basically just a removal spell for a Rhino. I have 2 more turns on my first Footfalls, but the sooner I can get that down, the better. Opponent is going to sack a creature, so probably a Halfling, I would assume. Yep. Sacks a Halfling. Kill my Subtlety. Okay. Sure. And pushes my Rhino. Okay. So now I really need to find that land right away. They're going to attack me for 6. I'm gonna take it. Gotta make sure to stack my triggers correctly. Suspends down to 3 and 1. So one more turn, I get 2 more Rhinos. Find a Force of Negation. It's a real bad draw here, because now I'm going to have to give up my Flage and trade it for Grist. I guess I'll attack first. See what they do. Try and kill the Grist this way. Force of Negation does counter a Soul Cauldron or a Green Suns. So it's not the worst draw. Oh, and they just let Grist die. Okay. I guess they're gonna try and kill me, but I still have a Flage here. So I can't kill one of the Haywire Mites, because that would allow them to stack it in response and make me not gain any life. So I need to just kill a Delighted Halfling. They fetch in response. I guess they're just killing... Yeah, they're just cracking the Spell Bomb as soon as they possibly can. Okay. Sure. Graveyard is gone. Bye-bye Flage. That is shrunk down to a 5/5. So they have 7 damage. And currently 7 card types, but the Woodlands doesn't have anything good to copy right now. Alright, they go to combat. Get in with everything, I presume. Okay. Rumble, I will counter. Pretty much anything I can counter, I'm just throwing it out. Oh, hopefully not a Cauldron. White of the Reliquary. Okay, so a giant creature. Oh, not even that big. But I do need to find something here, I think. So I get 1 Footfalls. Not out of it yet. See what we can draw. Leyline Binding is incredible. I am going to have to go for this Construct token. And they're going to be able to start tutoring for lands, which is a bit of a yikes for me. What can I even find at this point to get me out of this mess? I guess a Tidebinder would be okay. I don't know, this is a hard one. I'm out of Rhinos, which is my main way to grind. I guess I have 1 more coming in 2 turns, but this white is just ginormous. And it's going to be able to tutor up their last Urza's Saga. Although they will have to sacrifice a Mite to do that. I don't think they have any other super relevant lands. The Seiju... Sure. I'll use it. Find my other Surveil land. Is that lethal, though? Yeah, that's lethal. Okay. So, down a game, it looks like. As long as they equip the right way. Yeah. Okay. So, down a game against the green-black not Yawgmoth. So, let's board in Endurance. Let's board in Force of Vigor and Brotherhood's End. I mean, do I want all these Endurance? I think Dead Gone is pretty good here. Flage, probably not great, because they're just going to have Graveyard Hate for it. Brain Surge, not incredible. What else do I have to board out? There's going to be Subtleties that I could. Those are an option. Force of Negation is another option. Don't want to board out any green cards, because I am boarding all of these into pitch. I could also board out Dead Gone, but I think being able to bolt the bird is going to be pretty good against them. Also, bouncing a construct is not irrelevant. Maybe a couple Fire and Ice. I need to board out 6 more cards. So, Subtlety, the only really scary thing they have is Grist. that I can subtlety, but the flying might be relevant. There's also Charmaz that I could board in. I think I just go down 2 force and, well, no, let's keep 1 more force in and board out 1 fire ice, because I do want to be able to counter the cauldrons and the green suns, and yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff. Okay, let's rock with this. Maybe I only want 3 endurance. Yeah, they have some graveyard synergy, but not, like, a ton. Brotherhood's End, and a bunch of lands, and a Force of Negation. I think I like that enough. As I've said before, I'm not necessarily looking to stop hitting lands after, like, turn 3 or 4. I want to keep finding them. And, Brotherhood's End seems like it's pretty good in this matchup. Yeah, so I definitely need to find another red source for this Brotherhood's End, as well as another blue source, so I think it's going to be best to just get the Xander's Lounge out of the gate. Otherwise, I'm getting, like, a green-red land, which I don't think is super relevant. So let's just go ahead and make sure we're going to have Domain for later in the game. See what opponent starts off with. Don't think I'm forcing a Green Suns here, but maybe. That is what they're going for. If I force that, then I have just nothing left in my hand. I think I just let it go. Let them get their Dryad Arbor out of the deck. Hopefully don't grist me on turn 2. Or if they do, maybe I can find a answer to it. I guess I want to get the Lush Portico first, because that way if I draw Leyline Binding, I can fetch Xander's Lounge and cast it. So let's do that. Regardless Agent is great. Play Misty. Pass the turn. Gonna have a couple options for next turn. I can Brotherhood's End on some of their stuff, or I can just go for a Shardless Agent, hold up Force of Negation, which seems pretty solid to me. Not a ton of Rhinos hate going around, which is pretty good for this deck currently. I think I'm okay with Rumble. Mostly scared of Soul Cauldron. We'll see what they get here. Probably a fetch land to just surveil or play a Mana Dork. Maybe they go Green Suns. Yeah, they got the Verdant. Maybe they Green Suns for a Halfling. They play a Vexing Bauble. That one, I'm going to counter. Pretty good one to have in the sideboard for this matchup. Not a ton of other relevant matchups for it, but this and Living End is probably worth. I mean, this deck has been running around for a little bit, so maybe people are playing more hate now. Another land isn't quite what we want to see, but it's better than drawing Crashing Footfalls. Putting a couple Endurances back in the deck. Go for the Rhinos. See what they have. 10 power is hopefully going to be enough to get it done here. Can get Surveil Land with the Flooded Strand to try and dig for some more action, or I can cast this Brotherhood's End next turn. If they play a couple little creatures, that's probably what I'm going to do. But we'll see. They go for a Grist. I guess I'm okay with that. Basically just going to be a bad removal spell here. White of the Reliquary. Sure. So let's just go ahead and attack first. Oh, I guess I should have played the Endurance before I attacked. I guess I don't want to do that because they could. Yeah, if I mean the Flooded Strand before I attacked. They take 8 here. And I think I'll just play a Flooded Strand and pass. I took out a Breeding Pool for another Dead Gone. I just thought I had one too many lands in the deck, which was maybe incorrect. We'll see if it costs me. Scavenging Ooze into the yard. So white is now a 3/3. Urza's Saga in play. See what they get up to. Nothing. So I think I'll just hardcast this Endurance here. Getting a Temple Garden. And untap Brotherhood's End to clear the way. And then try and kill them. Yeah, I think I just gotta end this game now. 3 to each creature and each planeswalker. Then even if they have one fatal push, they still die. They'd need 2, but I know there was one in their graveyard. Alright. Oh no. Oh, I punted so hard. No. Oh, that was so bad. Oh, I forgot they run Bowman. Okay, so all my creatures die, and that's gonna be game. Yeah. Oh gosh. I guess I have a turn to draw like more rhinos, but man, that was probably the worst play I ever could have made. Big oops on my part. Won't be doing that again. I forgot they run Bowmasters. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So let's see what they do here. I've shuffled their Vexing Bubble's still gone. We'll see how far ahead they can push. It looks like just a Saga token. Do I find footfall? Well, that's not the kind of footfalls I was looking for. One more turn. Oh, jeez. What a punt. Yeah, all I needed to do was attack with a bunch of big guys, and I probably win this game. But what you gonna do? What you gonna do? I find another Brotherhood's End that's also pretty good. Yeah. Alright. Does Shadow Spear kill me here? Not quite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'd go to 3. I need either Rhinos or Brotherhood's End here. Okay. I don't know why they're not attacking with Bowmasters. I'm currently at 0 cards in hand, but if I win this game by 1 damage, then I guess I'll be pretty happy about that. Give me something good. Fire, ice. So, ice that. That's a redraw. Tap your construct. And don't find anything. Die. Hopefully not punt in the next one. But, jeez, it's so blown out. More blown out than I've ever been in my life. Um, yeah, it's a learning curve, you know? I'm not super used to Modern, but definitely should have seen that one coming. See y'all in the next one. On the draw in match number 2 again, not the best thing ever, but we will hopefully get it done with a pretty solid hand. I have Force of Negation, plus some cards to pitch. Those cards are, of course, big rhinos as well, so don't exactly want to. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Have an Arid Mesa that I'm going to fetch my Xander's Lounge with, so that I can go for the, or get my domain online for any leyline bindings I may draw. And, I drew a Subtlety, which is pretty good. Gonna let me counter anything I want for 0 mana. They can pitch each other. So pretty solid stuff here. Think I'd rather do that and keep all these rhinos, especially against what I assume is the frog deck. Yeah, rhinos are pretty good against frog. Just having a bunch of big guys. So they go for the frog. Definitely need to subtlety that one away. Get out of here. I don't want to see you. And they put it probably top. Yep, they put it right on top. So let's get that Xander's Lounge and hopefully find a binding or some other answer to the frog. Fire Ice ain't the worst. I think let's just tap a land on upkeep If they only have 2, then they won't be able to cast a frog. Otherwise, they won't be able to, like, do some crazy Oculus shenanigans this turn. So, upkeep Ice you got. I love Ice so much. It's such a fun card to play. Not to play against. If I was them and I didn't have a land, I'd be fuming over there, but for my sake, they tap for a blue, Thought Scour themselves? What? They mill over the Psychic Frog that they just put on top of their deck, and they unearth it. Okay. So, I guess not the worst for them. But they are missing a third land. There's a Subtlety, which might be useful against a Murktide next turn. But for now, I'm just going to run out some big Rhinos. We'll see if they Force of Negation me. Would be a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. I do have more Rhinos and a lot of gas in the tank. The most annoying part is that they would be able to just keep getting in with this frog. And so I might end up just chumping with this Shardless to prevent a draw with the frog. I feel like it's pretty bad for me if they're able to do that. I care a little bit less once I have Rhinos in play. Oh man. Okay. So they're gonna unearth an Oculus on me. And without a Leyline Binding, there's not a lot I can do against that. Would have much preferred them to. And they're gonna give it flying. Okay, so they really want to draw this card, which makes sense. I get some Rhinos down, but they have a 5/5 flyer that I don't really have an answer to. And they're drawing cards with this frog. So, probably pretty over. They can just win next turn, too. Like, if I go ahead and slam this, they can just fly the frog and... Oh, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. They cannot quite win next turn, but they're getting a little bit close. There's a Tidebinder, which could counter an ability from the frog, maybe allow me to block it, and then find a Leyline Binding to deal with this Oculus. A little bit mana starved here as well. If I could get up to 5, I could fire plus Flage to get rid of the Oculus. But I think for now, I just have to do this. So they get an island. And oh, it looks like they're casting an Oculus. Oh, flipping up an Oculus. All right. You got me. Hitting an Oculus off an Oculus, always the dream for that deck. Pretty hard for me to do anything about it. So let's board in these Endurances, board in the Mystical Disputes, board out. I don't love, honestly, Force of Negation. I think Subtlety is better here. Definitely. Let's board out the Forces. Let's board out the removal spells that don't really kill anything. They do bounce stuff, but that's not incredible. And then I think Tidebinder is pretty bad here. I love the card, but it's not incredible. And what else do I want to board out? Fire Ice, maybe. Could trim one, but it's kind of just a really good card. Let's go down to 1 Force. So on the play for game number 2, with, yeah, a keep. Definitely a keep. We both keep 7. I'm pretty happy to get the Lush Portico here. Although, I guess I want to start with the Xander's Lounge and then get Lush Portico so I can hold up this Mystical Dispute on 2. And I would like to get Domain online, and then I can start surveilling after that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get the Xander's Lounge. Find an Ardent Plea. Pretty solid find here. Let's play the Arid Mesa out. So this is the turn that I don't want them to unearth on me. And it looks like they're going to Thought Scour now, because I can't evoke this Endurance, so no Oculus. Cool. Kind of wishing I kept the Breeding Pool in. I don't know what land I would want to cut for that second Dead Gone. Maybe it's best to just keep it at 1. But let's fetch. Put that one into the yard. Don't really need it. So I think I'm going to play this one because I want to fetch Blue-Red Surveil with this. Or Steam Vents, I suppose, depending on what my opponent does. They consider. But I would like to hold up Mystical Dispute and Endurance this turn. I guess I could Endurance them now and stop a big Murktide from coming down, but I really don't care about a Murktide that much. I can Subtlety it. I think I wait. Or I can just Mystical Dispute it. And then play Rhinos next turn. There's the Murktide. Yeah, I guess I'm disputing it. Otherwise I have to pitch something for the Subtlety, and that's not great for me. Yeah, so it's possible they could have Consign here. Makes me not necessarily want to go for the Ardent Plea. I would have Subtlety to back it up, but letting them use a 1-mana counterspell just seems so bad. So let's just play Misty and pass. Wishing I fired off that Endurance on upkeep. And yeah, I could have Subtletied the Frog that they play to, like, if they try to Frog plus Unearth. What are they doing here? Fetching basic Swamp. So I guess going for a Harbinger, which I can Subtlety. There's a Frog, which I think I also just have to Subtlety that one. Steam Vents, untapped. Subtlety your Frog. They consign it? No, they put it on top. Sure. And fail to push my Subtlety. I think bit of an oops from them. Okay, I win the match. I was down a game, sir. I guess I'll take those. I would have preferred to play out that match and get some testing in, but oh well. Hopefully get a good one in momentarily. So far we've had punting on my side, plus just random concession from my opponent after kind of a big punt from them too. So round number 3, hopefully going to be a good game. Third time on the draw in this league with a solid hand. So let's keep a lot of removal here and a lot of lands, but we've been doing pretty good at finding the footfalls, finding the Rhinos, even if we don't have them in the opener. So far, the deck feeling a little bit clunky, but pretty powerful. I think I'm leaning towards either this, one of the Breach decks that I've been playing on the channel, or possibly just the normal Eldrazi build. I've seen some pretty cool Temur Eldrazi builds running around, which seem to be the best way to build that deck, or at least the best way people have found as of now. Subtlety is a nice pickup. That's some more interaction, but even cheaper. I'm going to start out with the Flooded Strand, so that I can fetch Lush Portico, play Xander's Lounge, have 1-mana Leyline Binding on turn 2. Really the way to go. Opponent Surveils. We'll see exactly what they are running. Haywire Might, so probably Breach combo, which I think a lot of the stuff I have in my hand is pretty good against that. Just need to find a way to put a clock on them. They go for a Mox Amber, sure. And possibly Mishra's Bauble plus Emery. Or just Emery. I think let's Subtlety Emery, and then if they put it on top, we can either Dead Gone it or Binding it. We have a lot of answers to the stuff they're doing right now. So they put it on, I assume top. They put it on top. Okay. Again, I'm not super scared of it. Next turn, let's just Lush Portico here. Finding Lorien Reveal, don't want that one. And an Ardent Plea. So I could gamble Leyline Binding the Mox Amber, and maybe they don't have a way to cast the Emry next turn. But that's a bit scary on my side. The problem here is I wish I led on this Xander's Lounge so that I could dead gone the Emry and save my two bindings, because they're just a lot better in this matchup. But if I fetch like an untapped red source now, then I can't Rhinos on turn 3, which I think is also important. So I think I just cut my losses, play this, I guess let them Emry, or I could just kill the Mox Amber now and save the Dead Gone for the Emry. Yeah, I actually think I like that more. If they can't cast it, I can just go ahead and slam down some Rhinos. If they do have one of their many ways to cast it, then I can go get a Surveil land, Dead Gone, and Leyline Binding. So they do find a way to cast the Emry, and it is another land, but not the worst for me. I can go ahead and play the Flooded Strand. There's a Steam Vents on top. Play Flooded Strand. Just shock the Emry. Hold up a Binding. And fetch a Surveil land. Play it a little bit slow, but they don't have anything going on now, and there's no ring for me to worry about. Even if there was, I would have the Binding, but I don't want to have to deal with ring. I'm so glad that card is gone. Just not a good time to play against. Okay, so they play an Urza's Saga and pass. I will fetch a Surveil land. Thundering Falls is the one I want here. Sometimes wishing it was an Elegant Parlor. Flooded Strand, don't want that one. Getting some nice Surveil value. And maybe I should have... I mean, I found the plains here, so I'm not punished. But maybe I should have just gotten Sacred Foundry so I could hold up Leyline Binding and play the Ardent Plea this turn. That's probably the right thing to do. But, yeah. Put some 8/8s into play. Nice little 2-turn clock. With some interaction up. And not too worried about the construct tokens right now. If they play maybe a second Urza Saga, then I would be a little bit, but I think it's just going to be too slow. So they go for a grinding station. Don't care about that unless they find a breach, but I'd rather save the Leyline Binding for the breach. So let's just go to my turn. Find a Subtlety, which is not bad. Let's shock in a Steam Vents, as my life total don't matter too much here, and I'd like to be able to Subtlety plus Leyline Binding. Very good uses of my mana here. Okay, opponent goes down to 8 life, halfway done. Goes down to 7 now. Fetches tapped Stomping Ground. So looking to combo here, but I have a lot of ways to prevent that from happening. They float a mana. Tutor for Mox Opal. And I'm assuming it's just going to be a concession here. They mill themselves for 3. They're going for, this looks like Emry or Breach. Do they have any instants? They have an Unholy Heat. Okay. So they get to cast one spell here. They choose Haywire Might. I will cast Leyline Binding in response, targeting the Breach. That resolves. And now I can Subtlety this. And presumably they lose now. Subtlety was a very, very good pickup here, with them having the Haywire Might in hand. Okay. You can untap Grinding Station, that's fine. Had they played Haywire Might first, I still could have just subtletied it. Okay. So forces come in. Brotherhood's End comes in. Gosh, I have so much for this matchup. Um, what do I even want to board out? I think Flage is too slow against the combos. Is Mystical Dispute better than Force of Negation? Probably not. I have Endurance too. I'll probably just board in a couple Endurance. Okay, so my options to take out, probably not Tidebinder. Tidebinder seems pretty good. Binding seems really good. Subtlety maybe is worse than just my other, like, removal. Yeah, I think let's board out a couple Subtlety, and Dead Gone only hits Emery. And board out one of these, and do I want to board out any of my Force of Negations? I think a couple Force of Negations as well. The other free spells that I'm boarding in are better. So let's do that. I think that looks pretty darn good. On the draw for game number 2 with kind of a medium hand. Think I'm gonna mulligan, just don't have a ton of stuff. 5 lands, a couple too many. This hand is somehow worse, so let's go down to 5. And find a pretty good one on 5. And put back Crashing Footfalls, I guess. Fire Ice, maybe? I think just Fire Ice, yeah. And can start off with the Lush Portico, fetch Xander's Lounge on turn 2. They start with a Tamiyo, sure. And then turn 2 Binding, turn 3 Ardent Plea, Mox Amber, Mox Opal, Emery Lurker of the Loch. Wow. Fast start from them. This big, they can turn 2 kill pretty easily, huh? That deck looks scary. Fire Ice kills Emery. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Don't have to, Leyline Binding on turn 2, I suppose. They attack, make a clue, turning on Metalcraft. Pretty scary stuff. They don't have anything to Emery back right now. Maybe they just crack a clue. They play a Haywire Might. And a Steam Vent. So just play a Flooded Strand. And fire this Emery. Oh, should have fetched Steam Vents there. Excuse me. Gonna have to take some damage or fetch an island next turn. Okay. I guess they go ahead and flip Cameo here. Fine. They don't have anything to flashback, but drawing 2 cards is a bit annoying. Flip Cameo, sure. I will go ahead and just get basic island. Flages are out of the deck, so don't have to worry about my 4 lands going for red, red, white, white. Cascade into a Crashing Footfalls. Put some big Rhinos into play and pass the turn. Haywire Might is a clean answer to this Leyline Binding. Maybe they crack it on the Ardent Plea. Probably not, though. Preordained. Yeah, I didn't know they ran that. I thought it was just Malevolent Rumble. Where do they go with the Scries? 1 top, 1 bottom. Go for a Breach. I guess they get back Emery and hope to find some other stuff. Oh, they go for a Rumble. So what was the point of playing this Breach then? Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to win this turn. Guess they haven't played a land yet. What do they put into their hand? Scalding Tarn. They get back the Rumble. Oh, this adds a mana. And do they have a grinding station? No, just another Rumble. And they find one of those three. They take a Mox Amber. Okay. Still have a Scalding Tarn in hand. They cast another Rumble. I guess they're going off now. Still no grinding station, but they do have a Mox Opal. So they can just keep rumbling until they find it. I'm probably pretty dead here. Just as soon as they find that grinding station. There it is. I will scoop it up to that. They're definitely gonna have enough to kill me. Don't need to play it out. And yeah, let's go to game number 3. Endurance. I guess not. I gotta play the forces. I think maybe I can go down like an Ardent plea for another Endurance too, and just play like more of a fair game. Maybe cut another Fire Ice for the 4th one. And honestly, Subtlety doesn't seem too bad either. I could cut Leyline Binding just because they have the Haywire Mites, which are so annoying. And they run a lot of them. Maybe let's do that. Getting a little crazy with it. On the play for game number 3. With a pretty solid hand. I have Force of Negation, turn 3 Rhinos. Gonna start by just surveilling, I think. I have a lot of green pitch spells, so I don't see a reason to suspend this Footfalls. I'm probably gonna want a free spell at some point. We'll see how fast they get out of the gates here. Fetching. Find a Steam Vents. Cameo, sure. Mishra's Bauble, sure. Second Mishra's Bauble, sure. Okay, so not as fast, but they are going to get to flip this Tameo. I will surveil. See if I can find a Leyline Binding. Did board one out. Fire Ice. I guess good enough. Tap their land on upkeep. Sure. And then get to dig a little deeper for something like this song. Relevant. All right, so let's go for gonna fetch a Steam Vents, and after that, I'd rather have access to which one of these fetches? Probably the Mesa. So let's go ahead and pass. They crack that on end step. On upkeep, I will crack my own, get Steam Vents, ice their land. Next turn, go ahead and play a Shardless Agent, or Brain Surge I could do, I guess. If I want to just play the control game, I think it's going to be better to get the Rhinos down first, and then follow it up with a Brain Surge to look for more free spells. Okay, they plus their Tameo. Are they doing anything else? Play a Scalding Tarn. Bracket for is probably a breeding pool. Play Mox Opal, that's fine. Maybe I counter a Mox Amber here, though. To stop them from getting any more mana this turn. I don't have an answer to Emery anyway, so yeah, let's just counter that. Get it out of there. They play a Haywire Mite, sure. But no more 0 mana artifacts, so nothing else happening this turn. Let's, I guess, fetch here for red. Red white or red green? I think red white is going to be better in the long run. And then I just want to play Shardless this turn, and I can Brotherhood's End next turn. They go for a Preordain, not super scary stuff. They can get it back with Tamiyo, but they don't currently have a green permanent, or it's not a green card, so they won't add a mana. They find and play an Emery. Sure. Milling over a Rumble, which is something that is relevant to get back with this Tamiyo for an extra mana, but they don't have another artifact, so it doesn't look like they'd be able to cast it yet. They just plus the Tamiyo and pass to me. But I have a pretty good play lined up here. I can... Okay, second Brotherhood's End ain't bad either. Destroy 3 damage to each creature and each Planeswalker. So it will kill my Shardless, but it'll also kill those two. And then get in 1 at Tamiyo, 1 at them, and pass the turn, which should be enough to... Well, it is enough to kill the Tamiyo, put them down to 15, 2-turn clock coming out from me with a Brain Surge in hand. They have 2 mana, a Mox Opal that is currently useless, and no other permanents in play against my 2 Rhinos. No interaction currently in my hand, or 0 mana interaction for this turn, but I have a Brain Surge to look for stuff. I have a Brotherhood's End if they decide to take a turn off to deploy some more artifacts. So feeling pretty good about this game 3. Hopefully can get it done pretty quickly and move on to the next one. I do like this land. Good basic choice from my opponent. They go for a Breach. Oh goodness. If they can win here, that's pretty impressive for that deck. 2 mana, nothing else, and a Breach. They have to go for 2 Mishra's Bauble before they can add their first mana. And that puts them down to 4 cards in the graveyard. And they have to mill an Opal or an Amber here to continue going off. And then they have to, and also another Emery. So pretty unlikely that they can kill me this turn. But not impossible. They play Emery, mill over. Nothing castable. Okay. And they concede the match. So 2-1 for Rhinos. Feeling pretty good. Definitely could have played a little bit better in that first match. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. I am finishing up this recording pretty late at night, so gotta be a little quiet. Don't want to wake up the rest of the people in my house as I am home for the break. But got a pretty nice hand going here. So let's get started. On the draw again, I think for the 4th time this league. Lot of Rhinos in this hand, and a little bit of early interaction, and Surveil a couple times too. And it looks like we're up against the Blade of I was gonna say Eldrazi Ramp, but not looking exactly like Eldrazi Ramp after we see a Blade of the Bloodchief. This is the Eldrazi combo deck. Haven't had the chance to play against it yet. Honestly, with any of the decks that I've tested out, but I know it can be pretty scary. and pretty resilient. They have a lot of ways to dig for their combo, even if you're able to interact with the first couple iterations of it. We'll see what they have here, what they're gonna go for. Tapping green for something, so I think probably a Broodscale, or maybe they're going for... Oh, it is the Broodscale. Okay. So, whenever one or more counters are put on it, create a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn. Whenever a creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on equipped creature. So, once you have a spawn and have that equipped, you can make infinite mana and infinite counters on the Basking Broodscale, which is pretty darn good. I'm going to get Xander's Lounge, I think, just to make sure I have Domain. And then I will go for the... Well, just going to kill this as soon as I possibly can. I don't think they have a ton of tricks, so I guess I could have waited until they go for an equip, but I think it's okay to just do it now. I will fetch a Surveil land and start putting down some Rhinos next turn. Hopefully they don't have another copy of the Basking Broodscale, as I only have a Subtlety, which puts it right back on top and would let them play it again. They play a Talisman, so I don't know. I don't think the stock lists of the Broodscale combo deck are running Talisman. Seems like a little too rampy for what they're going for. I think I will keep Fire Ice, just another removal spell. But yeah, the Talisman is more for the big Eldrazi decks. Um, help them get into their late game threats sooner. But we'll see what opponent is working with. Also, tells me they probably have a blue splash, because otherwise they'd be running the green-red one. And I really don't see a world where the Broodscale combo has enough room in the deck for more than 4 Talismans. Okay, Rhino's down. I guess I could get Kozilek's commanded here. And that's what it looks like, which I guess is fine. Yeah, and they're scrying one and drawing one. So let's see what they do with the scry. The bottom. Okay. They're still looking for a good play. I have more Rhinos for next turn, which is good. And another land up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Eldrazi, 5 without, thanks to their Eldrazi Temple tapping for 2. Would prefer not to have to Subtlety, but don't mind it if it is necessary. We'll see if I have to discard. So if they play a Basking Broodscale, then I would like to Subtlety it, pitching the Ardent Plea, and that way I still have the Fire Ice for when they draw it again the next turn. If they play something like a Thought-Knot Seer here, however, I would use this. I would pitch the Fire Ice so that I can put a bunch of Rhinos into play next turn. Walking Ballista. I think I just say okay. Let that happen. They go to equip, most likely, sure. But they don't have any other creatures. So they can't grow the ballista right now. Let's see what we find. Just another land, not super helpful. I will attack. And now, do I want to pass? Or kill that or play Rhinos. I think what I'm going to do is hold up Subtlety. That way I can just hard cast it, and then if I really, really need to, I can kill something with Fire Ice and pitch cast Subtlety, and this one Rhino can hopefully get it done. But hopefully I won't need to, and then the next turn I can hold up Fire Ice and slam some Rhinos. So let's play an Arid Mesa and do that. Do have to fetch for an untapped land here if I do want to go for the Subtlety. I think that's okay. I will take... Ooh, are they just pumping the Walking Ballista? It looks like it. Well, if they're gonna do that, then I know I'm not gonna need to cast this Subtlety. Let's just kill it. And then I can hold up Subtlety for next turn, or I can just slam the Ardent Plea if I find another blue spell. Because I do want to hold up the Subtlety. But if I can find a way to do it while also deploying lethal damage, then that's ideal. I mean, if they're just passing, maybe I do that anyway. Because just the combo next turn doesn't do anything, but okay. That's kind of perfect, actually. That gives me coverage against everything. I will again start by hitting them for 4. They had a pretty bad draw here, I will say. I mean, they really didn't do much. They cast 5 spells, played 5 lands. I don't know, maybe my spells are just more impactful in this matchup. Guess represent Leyline Binding, even if I don't have it. Right? Slam down with some Rhinos, play a Flooded Strand, and pass. Have the perfect duo of subtlety and force to counter anything that should come my way. I'm able to win game 1 without even needing to use it. So, definitely want these Brotherhood's Ends, and probably want Force of Vigor as well as Charma. What can come out? Removal seems pretty good. Brain Surge also seems pretty good. They are an Urza's Saga deck. Or Brain Surge doesn't seem... I meant Tidebinder seems pretty good. Brain Surge just seems okay. They are an Urza's Saga deck, which means the pitch spells aren't as good. Because they can win without even needing to pitch anything, or even needing to cast anything. So I think some amount of pitch spells can come out, as well as I could do Leyline Bindings. See, the thing about Leyline Binding is it is an incredibly versatile answer. The problem is it's not great against Urza Saga because they just fetch a Haywire Might and they can remove my removal, but I think it's still going to be better than like a Force of Negation, as the 1 mana needed to hold it up isn't too much. Maybe we just cut all the blue pitch spells and a Brain Surge and go for... Oh, I kind of like this. Just beating down as much as possible. Burning out, beating down, and killing everything. Let's go for that plan. One of the things I am still figuring out exactly with this deck is how to sideboard. I feel like a lot of the time I'm just throwing random stuff around. I don't really know what I'm doing, but that'll come with more reps of the deck, knowing exactly how to play each matchup. So didn't talk about this hand before I kept it. It seems all right. If I find any fetch land, I have domain for the leyline binding. I have turn 2 ice. Steam Vents, not a fetch land, but it is a way to get me turn 2 leyline binding or fire or ice into a hopefully turn 3 Charmaw. They do have a Vexing Bauble out here, but I don't necessarily need to worry about it now. I don't have any pitch spells. I think I will just shock in a Steam Vents on my next turn and pass, holding up really all my options. I think it's still going to be better to play the Steam Vents untapped, as I would have to fetch. I don't think I have an untapped red I can fetch with this. I kind of drew them all, so I wouldn't be able to fire that way, which is a bit of a strange start. Not the worst thing in the world. Um, I want to do anything? I don't really need to. Yeah, why let them use their mana? Okay, there's the Xander's Lounge for Domain. But I'm just gonna go and fetch a Thundering Falls this turn. Get a little surveil action in. They do nothing again. Sure. Now they play a Glaring Flesh Raker. So I think I'm just gonna kill that with fire. Take my 1-for-1. Get my surveil value. And then they missed one land drop, so did they? Yeah, they did miss a land drop. They were on the play. So I can just go ahead and slam this Obsidian Charmaw. Yeah, I think I want another Fire Ice. I guess I could wait one more turn, and that way I can hold up Leyline Binding with it. But probably just better to Charmaw now, play a 3-mana 4/4 that destroys a land. Blow up a Grove and pass the turn. See what they find. Don't think they're going to be able to combo me, so I'm not super worried. They play a Mox Opal into their own Vexing Bubble. Brutal. Brutal. Yeah, I mean, recently unbanned card. I would definitely make that mistake. I can easily see myself making that exact same mistake. No worries. That's a flooded strand, but I'm out of um Surveil lands. I really don't have a lot going for me, but I do have this Obsidian Charmaw. Pretty likely, honestly, my opponent is gonna crack the Vexing Bauble here. Gonna keep getting lands out of my deck, and I think I am gonna ice them on upkeep. Just try and find something to do with all this mana. I have one. Oh goodness, I still have a Hollowed Fountain, so I can fetch untapped white if I need. They play an Eldrazi Temple, but nothing to go along with it. So, not the worst for me. I will fetch a Hollowed Fountain. Don't need it untapped now. And, wow. Gosh, I guess I just play that, right? No, I don't need to now. I can just... I don't think they can win next turn. So let's just draw 3. hold up this Leyline Binding because they can have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. If they draw land, that's 5. So is that enough to go off? I don't believe so. Definitely not through a Leyline Binding. They're Kozilek's Commanding, making tokens and scrying. Maybe it's enough after that, but I would assume it's not enough through this Leyline Binding. Next turn, I can Wrath everything away. I can do creatures and artifacts if I so desire, so feeling pretty good. I also, of course, boarded out all my blue pitch spells, so they can play around them, but wouldn't matter anyway. I just got a new light, so that I'm able to record this video so late, which is pretty nice. I'm enjoying all the new stuff I got, and I'm hoping to make these videos as high quality as possible. Let me know, of course, if there's anything that you think I can do to make the videos better. I'm always open to feedback, and I love getting comments on my videos. It always makes me so happy. Even I got a comment that was like, "You click a lot when you play," and still made me happy, even though like, thanks for letting me know. Um, seems like a weird thing to say to somebody, but I was still happy just to get a comment. All right, let's see if they scoop to this. I'm guessing so. I will destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. They counter this, I can just do it again. Although they are a green-red deck, I don't know what ways they have to counter anything. They can draw a card. That's fine with me. Alright. Sweep everything away. Play that untapped. Play an Ardent Plea. Get that exalted value. Always gotta get the exalted value. Get in with the Charmaw. And pass. Probably taking a pretty easy win here. Still have Leyline Binding up. Not really anything to be worried about, I don't think. Yep, that's the match. On the draw here for the 5th time this league with a pretty mediocre hand, 4 lands and a Footfalls. I do have a Subtlety and an Ardent Plea, but it's possible that's too slow. Opponent starts on 7. I think I can do better here. Alright, this is better. And put back one of these spells. Unclear which of these two is going to be better here. So let's just go by putting back, well, let's put back the Tidebinder, because Brain Surge can dig a little deeper on a mulligan to 6. I am on the draw, though, so maybe I do need more interaction, but I already have Flage and Dead Gone, so maybe doing okay against an aggro start. Well, looks like an aggro start is what we are up against. Turn 1, Basic Mountain Ragavan. So if I don't play this Xander's Lounge on turn 1, that sets me up pretty poorly for the next couple turns, but if I do, I run the risk of just getting Blood Mooned. And that doesn't sound too fun. So let's get red. Oh, I can't get red-white either with this, so let's get Steam Vents, and then I have the option of Leyline Binding on 2 if I absolutely need to. Just Dead Gone this Ragavan. They play Ragavan 2 and no second land. Wow, okay. So, I mean, seeing that, I think it's pretty easily the best play to just go ahead and binding the Ragavan and try and score a free win that way. They play a Faithless Looting, sure thing. Double Oval Chase Daredevil, so this is some sort of Asmarana called Asmarana Mardicadis a Dice Dinakaldakar, obviously. See, I will go ahead and get blue, white, or green, red. Which is going to be better here? I think I have more options for an untapped white next turn. So let's get the green, red, and play this Flage. Dealing 3 to Asmo, as I will be calling it for the rest of the match. I'm definitely not going to try and do that again. Faithless Looting, definitely a big upgrade to any Asmo decks, though. They go for an Inti and an Underworld Cookbook, getting back 2 Oval Chase Daredevils, so getting their engine going. A little bit scary. I find a Brain Surge and a Force. Let's Brain Surge main phase so that I can play the Lush Portico and get rid of something. Although I guess it's gonna be better to just fetch away 2 lands rather than 1. So yeah, let's put back Sacred Foundry and Lush Portico, and then I'll go fetch the Lush Portico. And I can Flage next turn and kill this Inti. Opponent discards an Oval Chase Daredevil, makes a food, gets it back. Gosh, this deck is a nightmare of clicks to play against. Okay, just a flashback looting. And what did they exile? So Inti lets them play cards from exile. So they discard 2 cards, they get to look at the top 2, and they can cast those cards. This turn, they find Lightning Bolt Faithless Looting, so they can cast those from exile this turn. Or play them, I suppose. Yeah, you can play lands with Inti as well. They're not going to do that yet, at least. Possibly discarding even more cards this turn. Another Oval Chase? Nope, just a land. They find an Arena of Glory. Sure. So I'll take 3, go down to 12, and then they can play Arena of Glory from exile and Faithless Looting, I would assume. No, they just go ahead and bolt me, which I think I'm okay with that. They lose the looting. I will go ahead and fetch the Lush Portico as planned. Looking for possibly a blue card, maybe a Subtlety, just so I have protection, a little bit of protection against whatever they might play on their next turn. Sacred Foundry is going directly into the graveyard. So I'll untap. I will, I guess, take this opportunity to get Xander's Lounge down and go ahead and cast Flage from the yard. First Flage from the yard cast of this league, I believe. Very good card. I don't get a chance to cast it that much, but I'm feeling pretty ahead now. Although, see what they discard, see what they exile as well. And Urza's Saga. Okay, Urza's Saga, good, but a little bit slow here. I'm not super scared of it. And this Flage kills pretty quickly. We'll see if they have an Asmo or if they lose. I guess are their options here. A Faithless Looting, so that's a lot of looks at one. Both the Oval Chase, God, Faithless Looting plus this is just a nutty amount of card advantage. Is that Asmo? Looks like Asmo. Going for the Urza's Saga. And then Mishra's Bubble, sure. So get back both your Oval Chase Daredevils. Oh god. And then Faithless Looting again? From the yard? They don't need to look at the exile anymore. Or just play an Asmo. Jeez. Okay, Inti doesn't do much. And there's the Asmo. So, deals 6 damage to itself. That will kill a Flage. So, yeah, I'm gonna take a lot of damage here. and have to find something pretty good to stay in it. Meanwhile, they're just getting insane amounts of value with that Faithless Looting plus Oval Chase Daredevil over there. They discard and can play off the top Galvanic Blast. I take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, go to 1, so I think I'm just done for here. Oh wow, and a Mox Opal. So yeah, if they have another Bolt or Blast, I'm just dead. There's the Opal. Getting blasted. And getting bolted. Yep. Alright. Game number 2. I get to board in 3 Brotherhood's End, 2 Endurance, or 2 Force of Vigor, and probably a couple Endurance. I think I could honestly do the same thing. Well, I think, yeah, I'm gonna do something pretty similar to what I did last month match, where they're another, like, artifact aggro deck. So just stay low to the ground, kill their stuff, and follow that up by playing some big threats. Although this time it's going to be Endurance rather than Charma. I think those are going to be better than all of these. We'll board out the Brain Surge as it is a little slow. Send this back. See what we can get done. Starting with a Brotherhood's End in hand is very, very good against them. So let's definitely keep this. Probably just going to be fetching Xander's Lounge. It shocks in a Sacred Foundry for an Underworld Cookbook. Immediately discards a Faithless Looting. Okay. So they do get a little bit of value there. Oh, and they play a Mox Opal. Okay, so we are not done yet. Possible Asmo incoming. And yeah, there it is. And I don't have a clean answer to that now. They get to go and get another Underworld Cookbook. And another Mox Opal. Sack the first one. Play another cookbook. Play a Ragavan. Okay. That one I'll be able to kill. So let's get just the lounge. Okay, there's Crashing Footfalls. So I think what I want to do is get that suspended Dead Gone Ragavan, and then fetch Sacred Foundry next turn to probably just get rid of all the artifacts. And then I can get the big Rhinos down, hoping they play their second Underworld Cookbook here. They play an Arid Mesa. I guess if they play another creature, I might consider, yeah, well, oh, are they putting a counter on it? They are putting a counter on it, getting rid of the second Underworld Cookbook. It's almost like they know what I have, but I guess this deck list is not really hidden from anyone. Need to find a way to deal with the Asmo, although I guess a couple Rhinos do a decent job. So let's get the Sacred Foundry. And play this. Crashing Footfalls into play. So they can only discard, unless they draw exactly Oval Chase Daredevil, they can't make a food, kill one of my Rhinos, and pump their Asmo. So I have stopped the attack for at least a turn. And they draw Faithless. Okay, so they're flashing back Faithless Looting. With Inti in play is pretty darn good. Find a Shadow Spear and another Looting. Do they have a land, though? Discarding 2 Inties. Wow, a lot of Inties. So they're really debating on what they would like to do here. They don't discard a card. I will double block. Feel like that's a bad attack. Wow. Do they have another Asmo? I would assume they have another Asmo in hand. And okay, so endurance and shuffle stuff in. Hmm. What am I doing here? I think I'm attacking. They take 5. And I think I'm just destroying all their artifacts. That stops them from being able to discard next turn and play another. Oh wow, they were just F6. Play another Asmo. And then I will fetch a Lush Portico, Surveil, and get this Endurance into play. Opponent discards a Galvanic Blast, sure. Which, yeah, was just a shock then. And they are going to get to play the Asmo this turn, which is pretty annoying. But I do have a pretty quick clock on them. And they don't really have any life gain in their deck now that the Shadow Sphere is gone. These Rhinos are coming down in 2 turns. So if the game does go a little bit longer, I have that going for me. But I think it is still in my best interest to try and kill them quickly. So, Lush Portico. Find another Endurance. I think I don't need that. Rhinos ticks down to 1. Excellent draw. Okay, let's just fire it off. Kill this Asmo. I guess it's gonna be hard for them to deal 4 to me with 1 spell. And I'll be able to see what at least one of them are as well. And that will inform me on whether or not I want to chump. So, sure. They find a Scalding Tarn, make a food. They have 1 card in hand. It's a Faithless Looting, sure. That does give them 2, oh, yeah, 2 triggers. Oh, 1 or more cards. Okay, so they only get 1 trigger off of Inti, and it's another land. So that's probably game over. And if they attack, it definitely is. Can't discard a card, so let's Endurance. Rhinos are coming down. Yeah, it's over. Alright, do I want to change anything? Maybe Subtlety is okay instead of the Dead Gons. But no, they have Ragavan, and they have Inti. Yeah, I think I just try and kill everything. Keep this plan. Worked out pretty well that game. Brotherhood's End really being like the best card. Don't get to run Meltdown in this list, which is a little unfortunate. And so essentially 5 lands, double Rhinos, I don't think is good enough. With no interaction. This is probably. Let's put back the Tidebinder. I have a Flage for whatever they end up playing, but a turn 1 Ragavan is kind of going to dominate me here if they have that. They look at their own top card, I guess, to decide if they want to fetch. They do. They find Sacred Foundry tapped, though. So it's a big wipe my brow moment for me, because that means no turn 1 Ragavan, no turn 1 Cookbook, no turn 1 anything. And, yeah, I'll just go for the Flooded Strand and fetch probably Surveil Land. They have an Urza Saga and a Cookbook. Discard a Stomping Ground to make a food and presumably play an Asmo. Oh, Mox Opal first. Maybe Inti? No, it looks like Asmo. Okay. They find another Underworld cookbook. So I'm definitely going to surveil here. And I think I'm going to get the Thundering Falls so that I can cast Brotherhood's End on curve if I'm able to find it. So, get a Thundering Falls. I kind of need Brotherhood's End here. They just have such an explosive draw. Let's pass. Draw for turn. Find a basic plains. Not the most helpful. Play a Lorien Revealed and pass. I assume they're just going to start making constructs here, which is pretty annoying. They get in for 3. I will Lorien Revealed for Steam Vents, and then Lush Portico. Don't want an Endurance, definitely. Untap. Draw for the turn. Find a Flooded Strand, which is not great. And just got a Flage. I mean, got a Flage, like it's not a great play. But yeah, gonna kill the Asmo. Gain a couple life. I can escape the Flage next turn if they go for a Bauble. But maybe this means they have to use the Saga to get Grave Hate, and then I'm able to start slamming Rhinos, and maybe I can get my creatures big enough to fight these constructs, but they're just going to be so huge with the Oval Chase Daredevils, or the, I don't have those yet. The Underworld cookbooks, I really need to find a Brotherhood's End sooner rather than later. Okay, so they're tapping a mana, which I wanted to say was good for me, and they're just getting a Mishra's Bauble. It kind of looks good for me now. I mean, that's going to be a lot easier to beat than a second giant construct. And they also didn't get Graveyard Hate. Maybe they boarded it out, because I don't really seem like a deck that has a lot to do with the graveyard. I just have the Flages. And they probably discarding a card here. Discard a Mishra's Bauble. Sure. And they find an Oval Chase Daredevil, but in exile it doesn't do anything. So that's fine. I will take 7 trample damage. And they play another Asmo. Yikes. So they're gonna be able to kill Flage and hit me for a lot of damage. And I, again, find nothing, but I think I still have to escape it. I mean, what else can I even do? I can play big Rhinos, but those aren't going to be good enough against an Asmo with 2 cookbooks. And this is essentially just trading for 2 foods. They're also going to get to exile cards with Inti every time they make one of these foods, and I think Galvanic Blast is just enough to kill me. So, gonna be down to 5, up to 8, and yeah, that's lethal. So I will scoop it up. They can just put a counter here, or they can discard a card. Many ways to go about it. I am dead, and yeah, it's a 3-2 for the Rhinos deck. But, fun league. Definitely got a lot of practice with the deck, and, yeah. I think I'm either going to play this or Green-Red Eldrazi in the tournament tomorrow. I don't like where the Through the Breach decks are now, just because of how many Force of Negations are in the format. But yeah, 3-2, not the worst. I will have this up soon, and then following that, I'll have the Modern Super Qualifier tomorrow, going up. So look forward to that. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.